Master Duel ladder is a joke. We have a total of 5 sections on the ranked ladder to split up millions of players worldwide. Platinum is an absolute cakewalk for anyone using a list that is slightly competitive. For any player that has played even a little competitively, it is only a matter of time before they reach Platinum 1. But what about doing it with no staples? Would you still be able to climb? After seeing the 10th player chain Maxi to their effects on their own turn, I decided, yeah, you totally can. But I never say anything I'm not willing to back up. So of course, I set out to prove it. I thought I would get at least one win with a normal rarity only deck on ladder just to prove it to my friends. It quickly spiraled out of control. Okay. First off, let's look at what we have to work with. A quick scan of the several thousand normal cards available to us revealed that there's actually very few archetypes that are playable at all with normals only. They did a very good job of locking off basically anything slightly usable. Candidates for playable deck bases were Trickstars, Fluffles, Time Lords, and Larvals. There were a few far more promising candidates as well. Mech Knights, although we were missing almost all the good monsters. Tenyi, again, minus all the good monsters, but still far more playable. A recurring theme for all archetypes though, is that all the usable extra deck cards were not normal. So not only do we get no good staples for the main, but no usable extra deck cards too. Alright, so what deck can we make that has a competent game plan with no staples, no extra deck, and no draw? What's this? Spiral is mostly normal rarity. No, not those. Spiral with an I. Spiral is an old archetype from the beginning of 2017 that was cheap and low rarity in TCG even on release. It's also pretty consistent. Its traps become hand traps when Umi is on the field. This boy is an imperm that reduces attack. Nice. We can work with this. We need to find some cards to put around the deck. Tenyi synergizes with the normal theme, and Avram is the biggest normal level 4 beat stick. So let's put both of those in. Sadly, most normal rarity traps land on the viability spectrum somewhere between Firewall Pass and Chaining an Ash to your own Maxi. And generic spells aren't much better. After some quick testing in solo mode, I decided we were ready for ranked. Our goal was simple. It was the first season of Master Duel ever. My account was already at Plat 1. All I had to do was win one of the next 5 games at Plat 1 with only normal rarity cards in my deck, and I would have my definitive proof. Easy. Of course that's definitive proof. I only have to win one game. Like, that's entirely representative of the entire ladder. Well, actually, it wasn't easy. I was in trouble, but there was no way in hell I was ever going to end the first season of Master Duel at any rank except Plat 1. We're going to have to make some changes. Now, normals only seem to be pretty impossible. Even if we got lucky with some of the worst opponents, we were still trying to beat meta decks with the digital equivalent of toilet paper. I still felt confident I could win with just a slight boost to the deck. I could still do the challenge with a slight change to the rules. Still wouldn't play any SRs or URs. Well, what about res? There still weren't any meta staples in there. They were cheap enough a free-to-play player could copy the deck without even needing to touch solo mode or grind, but they were still decent. I gave my deck the upgrade it desperately needed. In goes the field spell, real negates, and actually usable trap cards. My list is very focused on the field spell. This is probably the best rare card in terms of value. The token generating effect is not once per turn, so through clever use you can eke out tons of value. The search adds hand traps that trade 1 for 1 and are immediately usable. To support this, every card needs to either trade well enough that I can survive for a few turns before drawing a field spell, protect it, or search it. Paleozoics delay and synergize. Owie and the counter trap protect. Now, it's time to win some games. I hop into my first game, and hey, what do you know? I get a win. Feeling reinvigorated, and with a tight time limit, I go into ladder again and climb all the way up to Plat 1, proving, once and for all, that the current ladder is easy as hell. Okay, so I didn't do Season 1 legit. There are some big flaws in the deck that the card pool available can't solve. If I can't go first, I'm in big trouble. If I don't draw an end to the field spell, I'm in big trouble. The deck wins its games 60% of 50% of the time. Any other win that I can get isn't because of me winning, but more because of my opponent losing for us. Thankfully, there's enough of those players that I can have a win rate over 50%, but only barely. If I want to hit a meaningful rank with the deck, I have to grind for a very, very long time. I'm no quitter though, so instead I decided to slightly change the rules and do Season 2 legit. Now that the ladder was reset, I felt like I had a better challenge if it was climbing from my reset position at Gold 5 up to Plat 5. It's more realistic, proves a similar-ish result, and I don't think at the time anyone else had done it. Additionally, when I was climbing, it was at the reset time, so many of those platinum players was back down at gold anyway. My first matchup I ran into on ladder displays just how much better my play is than everyone else. My opponent chooses to go first. His first big mistake, as he misses the extra draw. Then he opens up his turn with the desires. I recognize that there is no threat here, so I'll let it resolve. He activates Nadir, which I also allow through because I was privy to the secret information that he had forgotten to put an Ecclesia into his deck. He realizes this too late, then tries to confuse me with a Maxi normal summon. But when he sees I'm not buying it, he scoops up the game. As you could see there, I played perfectly, and that is really all you have to do if you want to reach Platinum, regardless of the deck that you choose. My next game was against Eldritch, the easiest matchup on all of the ladder. This is because Eldritch players are illiterate. This Eldritch player has never read effect text in his life, and didn't seem to understand that his funny purple card doesn't do anything to normal monsters. After all these, I did have some real matches. I had quite a lot actually. The reality of playing an objectively weaker deck on ladder is that sometimes your opponent has actually read their own cards. In those games, unless you play perfectly, you are almost guaranteed to lose, and that affects your win rate. Being able to climb means having as few of those games as possible, and playing your deck perfectly enough that when you do have one of those games, you keep it as close to breaking even on win rate as possible. So in the end, I did manage to do it. I hit Plat 5 over 60 games and pure suffering. But I could say that I did it, and maintain my ego. Did I prove that ladder was a joke after all? I mean, most people aren't good. Certainly not even to the level that you would find in most locals around the world. But they aren't no link / pendulum / Xyz / synchro character decks only on YGO Pro levels of bad. Can you win with cheap cards? Yeah. I mean, there's probably even better lists online for the challenge that I did by now. If you want to have an enjoyable experience, I recommend picking up some staples. You can get your hands on enough SRs and URs to have a powerful deck on ladder to play without pulling out your wallet. You can even have a variety of off-meta decks on the cheap side and work towards crafting staples that you can put in any deck and easily climb to Plat 1. Spirals, for example, could get a lot out of pots, skill drains, and searches for the field spell, so you don't have to scoop turn 1 when you don't draw it. The takeaway from all of this is, I don't know, give me a like. See you in the next video. It's probably a deck profile. Editing this took way too much effort. Goodbye.